Yeah, that is a lot of proc damage, isn't it? But it's really fun to play, so it's worth giving it a go. Hey, it's Dan, and welcome back to Unified Gaming. Now, in this one, I want to go through and share with you the Proc Sniper. This is something I've been running for the past probably 6 weeks now, at least. It's really, really strong. I use this on Twitch, so you can see us live on Twitch. You know, there's a link in the description. We do it every weekend. And yeah, this is just really, really fun to play, but a little bit cheesy. But given the meta we're in, I thought it might be appropriate to release it now. So we're just going to get into this one, and I just want to say a huge thank you though to the Patreons and all the people that are liking, commenting, and subscribing, because it really, really helps. So just a massive thank you to all of you guys. But with introductions out of the way, let's just get into this build. For the race, we're actually an Orc on this. Orc, Dark Elf, they're probably the best two. It's mainly because it gives you more damage. So Orc or Dark Elf are great. If you're a Wood Elf or a Khajiit though, this can work fine because we're using procs for damage mainly, so don't be alarmed if you're not the right race. As with kind of the attributes and kind of what's what, I have 64 points in stamina. You can see I have 2000 stam regen, which is just loads and loads of stam regen. And all of our damage, as I said, comes from procs, so we can just stack regen freely. If you want your skills to hit harder, just change the mundus. You know, we're getting 435 from the Serpent Mundus, which is loads of stam sustain. So just put this to the Lover or the Warrior and you got more damage. The Lover would be better because it does buff the procs. We're also a Vampire Stage 2 on this. This gives us access to Stated Fury, which is bonus damage. It also gives us access to the Strike from the Shadows passive, which is again more damage. So it's a really useful thing to be. And you know, that's kind of what we're doing with the sort of vampire and stuff. As with kind of the consumables, I use Artaeum Take-Away Broth or Bewitched Sugar Skulls. Bewitched Sugar Skulls is your tri-stat food. This is really good in CP. So in Cyrodiil, in Imperial City CP, this is great. If your sustain's a bit, you know, hit and miss in no CP like Battlegrounds, Artaeum Take-Away Broth is a great way to fix that. So that's a really good one to consider. And if you can't afford these like gold food, which I know it's expensive, you know, I'm down to 80k because I buy a lot of it, so that's why, then I'd recommend just using purple food. So tri-stat food's fine, a long-thin pastry is a good example, or you could use Juvia's Cameroon Throne, which is basically the Artaeum version, just a purple. So those are kind of the food, consumables and stuff. As with potions, it's simple again, we're using tri-stat potions. This is basic health, magicka and stamina. We need all three. Without them we're going to die, so you know, they're just the best ones to have. Another good option is the Essence of Detection potions, which are great against other Nightblades because of the procs and stuff we use, and also using the Essence of Immovability, they're really good too. So there's lots of options for potions and so on. I'm now going to go through the skills and stuff, and if you are liking the video, then do make sure that you are liking, and do leave a comment if you've got any questions. Skill wise, it's pretty straightforward actually. We're using Lethal Arrow. This is basically our ranged spammable. It's damage, it's poison status effect, which is more damage, and it's minor file, so just why wouldn't you use this? We then have Poison Injection. You can use Silver Bolts if you prefer, or Silver Shards. I prefer this though because this works better with the procs that we use, so yeah, just use this if you can. The bonus execute damage is useful to just confirm kills. We then have Camo Hunter. This is a passive buff for Major Savagery to proc our crits and stuff more frequently. And we also have Minor Berserk just for attacking from behind the enemy's flank, so this is a really useful thing to have for free. We then use Shadowy Disguise. This is to turn invisible, which means if we cast Snipe, then Shadowy Disguise, this will then force the Snipe to crit, which procs our sets and stuff, so it's really, really powerful. And then I have Stated Fury, and Stated Fury is really nice because it basically heals you after the toggle, and it also gives you 660 weapon and spell damage whilst it's active, which means this gives you lots and lots of free damage. So that's 660 there, and if you go down to the Vampire passage, you also get Strike from the Shadows, which is another 300. So just by being a vampire, you can get an extra 1000 weapon damage nearly, just for free. So be a vampire, basically. Talking of vampire, you can also go to the Undeath Stage 3. I'm Stage 2 currently. Like if you want a bit more bulk, stage 3 is a really good way to just to get it for free. And then for the ultimate, we actually use an incapacitating strike. This is mainly for a passive. You also get some really nice benefits as well. So whilst it's slotted, you get 100 magic and stand regen when you deal damage to light attacks. So this is just great because it's free sustain. So yeah, you want to run this. It also stuns people if they're close, because we don't use this often, so we always have the stun pretty much charged, and it hits hard. Like when we buffed up, it was like 15k, and that's we've got low weapon damage on this build, so we still hit pretty decent with this. Another useful thing with it, which people do forget, is that it doesn't actually proc the hemorrhage passive in assassination. So this is just, again, another 10% critical damage, which, this buffs our skills. Our procs can't crit, sadly, but this still is worth having just in case. And if you want to play more of a ranged playstyle and just go really, really cheesy, you could actually go with bow ult, and it is just disgusting. You do lose the hemorrhage passive unless you change one of the skills, and this just so much damage, and it's got a massive dot on it, and this goes up the more you obviously buff up your weapon damage, so it's cheap to cast, hits really hard. With all the procs and stuff, it's almost a guaranteed kill like every single time, so this is just a really, really, really strong ultimate. Like, I can't say enough really with how busted this is. As for the back bar, it's a bit more straightforward. Concealed weapon, just for a movement speed boost and stealth. Leech and strikes, which is for just more sustain. And also, when you are sneaking, as long as you don't cast any other skill whilst you're sneaking, and you just use this on cooldown, you can actually sneak for free. You end up getting more stamina than it costs to cast a skill plus the sneak, which means you can just sneak around freely, as long as you use this and no other stam skill. So this is a really good way just to kind of get your sneak on, so it's really, really good. We then have Deep Thoughts. This is for more magic and stamina sustain, because we do actually spam skills quite often on this, particularly life stack poison injection. And we have Race Against Time for movement speed buff, which is really good to get you out of trouble. It also removes snares and immobilizers, and it gives you crit damage by giving you minor force. So again, you can use it to buff up to get more damage, or you can use it to get out of a bad situation. And then we have Rally, which is our burst heal, major brutality, and minor endurance. So lots of things for one skill. So this is a really, really good skill to have. And then for the ultimate, we're using Temporal Guard. This gives you a 5% damage reduction, which is really useful just for being on the bar. But I know that not everybody has access to the Psychic Order. So if you don't, simply go down to support, get Barrier, and make sure that you have Magicka Age level 2, and that's 10% Magicka regen, which is really, really useful to have. If you want a bit more of a defensive ult though, you could go up to your Siphoning and just use Soul Shred and change this to Soul Tether. The damage actually scales off your highest offensive stat, so although it's magic damage, it will still go up with your weapon and stamina, so you can still get use from this. But that's all the skills and what I would use, so I wouldn't change anything from that. If you do have any questions though, do leave a comment and let me know what you think. I'm now going to go through the gear and stuff, but just before I do that, I just want to say a huge thank you to those Patreons. It's really, really appreciated. Without your support, I wouldn't be able to make these videos, so just a massive thank you. And if you haven't done so, do check that you're subscribed. We still notice that 70% of people watching still not subscribed, which is nuts, so just check that you are. Set-wise, it's pretty straightforward. We're using 3 proc sets, all of which have been chosen specifically for how they combine. So we're using Venomous Smite, really strong. We use double dot poisons with this. I have Smite on both bars. As for kind of trait-wise, you want this to be sharpened on the bow, because sharpen does buff our procs, so just a little tip there. We then have Cellatrix, which is just really, really strong. That Cellatrix is just really good. When you deal damage, you create an Earthquake on the target that does basically almost 9k damage. It's a mini AoE, it stuns them. This can proc on the dots as well, so when we land one of our skills, if they're taking with dot damage, this will proc on cooldown, which means if they run away, they'll still get stunned or still take damage if they don't move quick enough. So this is really, really useful. Even when you're being defensive, somebody's on you, just light attack poison injection, and this will proc every 6 seconds, which means you've got a way to get a free stun and you can get out of there. So really strong set. We then have Savaris Scales, which again is another strong set. This is basically like Venomous Smite, but on steroids, so really, really, really strong set. It's also good for Cyrodiil because it does reduce damage taken from guards, so it's always a nice bonus to have. And it gives you some health, some stamina, and some magicka, so it's got some really good 2, 3, and 4 pieces. But as you can see, it's almost 12,000 damage over 6 seconds. And what's really good with this setup is that we basically stack damage, but because it's all procs, we can go full stand regen glyphs. So you could change this to weapon damage to have more burst if you like, but it's not needed. So don't feel that you have to infuse this and weapon damage it. You can for more damage, but it's not essential. As for the traits and the armour, it's all divines across the board, apart from 2 pieces which are the wrong traits, but divines it if you can, it does help. And you want stamina on all the pieces, just for more damage. But that's all the gear. The one thing I will say that's really special with this is that when we go into Snipe and then Cloak, because our Cloak forces the crit, that means this set procs automatically, so this procs instantly on the Snipe. We then follow with light attack poison injection, which typically procs the poisons. So by doing this combo, we go Snipe, light attack poison injection, Cloak, and that will proc Venomous, Smite, it will proc our double dot poisons. It will also proc Cellatrix, and for good measure, it does proc Savaras at the same time. So that one combo, you proc 3 sets, your double dot poisons and your skills. So you end up putting like 7 dots on somebody and doing like half the health bar in one combo. So it's just so hard to recover. So that's why these sets combined are really powerful, because it's just really hard to bounce back from. And what's really cool is they're all AoE. This is an AoE set. Savaras Scales an AoE set, and so is Cellatrix. So you can just use that acid spray and just use AoE skills and hit lots of people with this. So just lots of synergy between those 3 sets. As for the champion points, this is what I use, and this is just my typical Nightblade. Feel free to pause it, rewind it. Any questions, do obviously leave comments. One thing I will say is that I haven't put any in Thaumaturge, but if you want to, you can take some out of Precise Strikes, because your procs can't crit, so take some from there, take some from Shattering Blows, and put some in Thaumaturge, and you get more proc damage. So, I haven't done it because it's just too cheesy, but feel free to do it yourself. This is the red CB. One thing I will note is that you want Unchained, really useful passive, and if you can get it, try and get Wind running again. This is a really useful one too. So just loads and loads of free bonuses. But yeah, that's the champion points. That's the gear, the skills, the mundus, everything you need to know. If in the event I have missed something, do let me know in the comments. Like, I sometimes do forget things, so don't panic. If I've done that, just let me know and I'll answer as quick as I can. But I'm going to use this last part just to kind of talk generally about kind of the build and kind of tips and tricks. And yeah, so the one thing I will say with this is you will get a lot of hate. It's one of those ones that you kind of dot somebody up and you cloak and just let them die, or you just follow up with light stat poison injection, or you go Snipe, light stat poison injection, and that's pretty much it. If you need more help with the build and how to play it though, make sure that you are subscribed and you do check out our Twitch. We do this every Saturday on the weekend, so all the details are in the description. But I'm going to actually wrap this one up here. So I want to say a massive thank you to all those people who stayed around this long, people liking, commenting, sharing, and more importantly, subscribing. It really helps. We're trying to push 10,000 subscribers, so it really helps. And more importantly, a huge thank you to those patrons. Like, it's really appreciated. But with that said, I'm just going to wrap this one up here. So I'll catch you in the next video, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care, and bye.